Wait, so this week you guys sent in a piece from Usos, and it really caught our eye.
It did.
They say, 5 of the biggest AI developments from the week of January 25th, 2025. It's a lot to unpack, but that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely. This is the deep dive. Let's get into it.
Our mission, if you will, is to take these exciting headlines and, really figure out, okay, what actually matters?
Right.
What's going to have an impact, on you, on your life?
Yeah, and the original title, I think it was something like Better Than ChatGPT, DeepSeek R1 that shook the martial arts world. The 5 AI events you must pay attention to this week.
Yeah, that's quite a title.
It grabs your attention, that's for sure.
It does. So we've got DeepSeek R1, we've got OpenAI Operator, we've got the Perplexity Assistant.
We got the robots from Deep Robotics.
Oh, yes, the robots.
And something called UI TARS. Like you said, a lot to unpack, but it really is, I think it's a great snapshot of just how quickly things are moving forward in the world of AI.
Let's start with the one I think that's making the most noise, and that is DeepSeek R1.
Yeah.
The article really doesn't hold back. Asks straight up, is it better than ChatGPT?
Right.
And then that phrase shook the martial arts world. Yeah, that really gives you a sense of major disruption.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So what is all the excitement about?
Well, I think the first thing that really jumps out is the claim that it can perform comparably to ChatGPT, but using just a fraction of the resources to train it, something like 1/20th.
1/20th of the resources.
Of the training, yeah. That's a huge efficiency leap if it's true.
It is.
And on top of that, they're reporting an output speed of over 30 words per second. Imagine how much faster interactions could be if that's accurate.
That's a lot faster.
It is.
So 1/20th of the cost to train it? I mean, that's a huge, potentially huge shift in the economics of AI.
Yeah.
The article breaks it down into 3 reasons why they think DeepSeek R1 is so advanced. The first one they point to is its performance. They've got some stats in there, some really impressive results in areas like math and coding.
Yeah, they do. When it comes to mathematical reasoning, they tested it on the AAME 2024. It got a pass at 1 score of 79.8%. Now, what's interesting is the article points out that that's actually a bit better than OpenAI's O1 model. And to be clear, what that pass at 1 score means is that it got the answer right on the first try, almost 80% of the time. So it's really showing a strong grasp of problem solving.
It is.
And then in terms of multitask performance, particularly when it comes to programming, it achieved a score of 96.3% on the Codeforces platform. And the article points out that this is getting really close to the level of human experts.
So it's not just hype.
Yeah.
There's some data backing up the claim.
There is.
That this thing is a top performer.
Right.
Okay, so reason number 2 that the article gives is its architecture and training. This is, kind of the more technical side of it, what's going on under the hood.
Yeah. So it's built with 671 billion parameters.
Okay.
And it utilizes what's called a mixture of experts architecture, or MOE.
So 671 billion parameters. That's its knowledge base, essentially.
You can think of it that way, yeah.
And this MOE is kind of like, how is it different from other types of architectures?
Well, you can think of the MOE setup kind of like having a team of specialized AI brains within the larger model.
Oh, okay.
So depending on what task you give it, only the most relevant parts of that team, so to speak, get activated. That makes the whole process much more efficient and faster than having to consult the entire knowledge base every single time.
So you're not calling on every expert.
Right.
Just the ones that are relevant for the task.
Got it.
Now, the article also mentioned the context window, which is huge.
Oh, yeah. It boasts a 128K token context window. So in simple terms, that means that the model can remember and understand a really large amount of previous text in a conversation or a document when it's coming up with its next response. So if you're doing something like summarizing a long report or having a really extended back and forth discussion, this thing can keep up and maintain that coherence.
That's really important.
It is.
Especially if you're dealing with huge amounts of text.
Absolutely.
Or you need the AI to really follow along in a complex conversation.
Right.
Okay, so it's not just the hardware, right? The training methods are also innovative.
Yes.
It doesn't just rely on data that's already been pre-labeled, right?
That's right. DeepSeek R1 is trained using what's called reinforcement learning, or RL. And, traditionally when you're training these massive AI models, you're feeding them just huge data sets where humans have already labeled everything as correct or incorrect. That takes a lot of time. It costs a lot of money. With RL, the model learns more through trial and error, kind of like, yeah, well, in a way. It tries out different responses, gets rewards for the good ones and penalties for the not so good ones. And through that process, it kind of figures out effective strategies on its own. And what that means is that you don't need those massive amounts of labeled data, which really cuts down on the cost.
So the third point the article brings up is the ultra-low cost,
Right.
which kind of you hinted at with the training methods.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually using the model, what does that mean?
So the article states that the basic cost per token, and a token is essentially a small chunk of text.
Yeah.
So the cost per token for DeepSeek R1 is supposedly 27.4 times lower than ChatGPT's O1 model.
Wow, 27.4 times lower.
That's a significant difference. And
Yeah.
that could really, open up the doors for developers and businesses who maybe were priced out before. And then, to make things even more interesting, DeepSeek R1 is released under the MIT open source license.
Okay, what does that mean for people?
What that means is, essentially, you have the freedom to use, modify, and distribute the model without any restrictive licensing fees. So that could potentially lead to just a whole explosion of new and innovative applications.
So open source plus dramatically lower cost. It seems like that is a recipe for wider adoption.
Yeah.
So what's the big picture takeaway here for our listeners?
Well, if everything they're saying is true, we could be looking at a real democratization of AI.
Okay.
Because faster, cheaper, and more flexible AI tools are going to be available to more people. That means businesses of all sizes, even smaller ones, can start to leverage these technologies. And for you, the listener, it could mean that AI just becomes more integrated into the tools you use every single day in ways that are more efficient and cost-effective.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to our second big development, OpenAI Operator.
Okay.
The article talks about ChatGPT kind of moving beyond just answering your questions and actually performing real-world tasks. It's almost like it can control a computer for you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They even use the term do like something out of science fiction.
It does have that kind of feel to it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
So what can it actually do?
Well, what's really interesting about Operator is this shift from a passive information provider to this active agent that can take action for you. They give an example in the article. Someone used it to order ingredients automatically based on a picture of a recipe.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just understanding what you ask, it's actually doing something.
It's doing it.
Yeah. And some of the main types of actions that they're highlighting are things like automating those everyday tasks,
Right.
like booking a restaurant reservation. So you tell ChatGPT you want to eat at a certain place at a certain time, and it handles everything. Checking availability, making the booking, dealing with scheduling conflicts.
Oh,
Yeah, even suggesting alternative times or places. And it can do the same thing for online shopping. You can have it add items to your cart based on instructions you give it and then ask for confirmation before actually hitting that purchase button. And travel planning is another big one they highlight. Essentially handling everything from finding flights and accommodation to creating like a basic itinerary.
that's amazing. It's like having, a digital assistant who can actually get stuff done.
It is.
It's not just taking notes.
Right.
It's
Yep.
actually doing things.
Yeah.
But it's not just like blindly following orders, though, is it? The article mentions interactive personalization.
Right. So when it's booking that restaurant for you, it might ask if anyone in your party has any dietary restrictions or if you need, a table with a high chair. And if you're shopping online, it might double check if you want a specific color or size of something.
Okay.
This back and forth is really important because it ensures that whatever action it takes actually aligns with your needs and preferences. It really makes it feel much more personalized.
Thinking ahead.
It is, in a way.
It's clarifying things.
Yeah.
Now, with that level of access, being able to take actions, security and privacy have to be top of mind. For anybody using something like that, what does the article say about how they're addressing that?
So OpenAI has put safeguards in place. They mention that user confirmation is always required for any sensitive actions like payments. No sensitive personal information is collected during these interactions, and users are provided with options to manage their privacy. So it's good to see that they're focusing on security and giving the user control over their data, because that's super important as this kind of more active AI capability becomes more common.
And who can use this right now? Who has access to this OpenAI operator?
So right now it's being rolled out as an alpha feature. It looks like it's limited to ChatGPT Pro users in the US. The plan is to eventually expand access to other subscription tiers like ChatGPT Plus, enterprise users, and then ultimately to a global audience. So for many people, it's a glimpse into what the future could hold.
ChatGPT becoming this proactive agent could really change how we manage our lives.
It could, freeing up a lot of time and energy for other things.
All right. Our third development focuses on Android users
Okay.
with something called Perplexity Assistant.
All right.
And the aim here is to simplify daily tasks.
Right.
How does it stack up against OpenAI's Operator?
Well, I think the biggest difference is that Perplexity Assistant is a free feature. It's part of their existing Perplexity app on the Google Play Store. They do have an iOS version in development, but the key here is that it's immediately accessible to a lot of people, particularly Android users, without the need for, a paid subscription like ChatGPT Pro.
So if you're an Android user, you can try this right now at no cost.
Exactly.
What kind of tasks can it handle?
They highlight several kind of multi-step tasks that it's designed for, things like booking dinner reservations, ordering a car through a ride-sharing service, even drafting emails for you. So you just tell it who you want to email, what the subject is, the main points you want to hit, and it'll draft it up. It can also set reminders for you. It really seems to be focused on integrating with those common services that most people already use and making those everyday routines just that little bit smoother.
I mean, being able to handle multi-step tasks, that's really where these AI assistants become so powerful.
Yeah, you're not just limited to simple one-off commands.
Right, exactly.
Now you can actually start to string things together.
And it's not limited to just one language, is it?
It's not. Perplexity Assistant supports 15 different languages, including, English, Spanish, French, German, Japanese, Korean, Hindi, and others.
Oh, wow. 15 different languages.
Yeah, it's really trying to be a globally relevant tool.
That's a huge plus.
It is.
And it's free.
Yeah, and easy to get. So there's not much risk for someone who wants to try it out.
What's the overall significance of this Perplexity Assistant in the overall evolution of AI?
Well, it's another big step towards democratizing access to AI by offering these advanced search capabilities and the ability to, manage those complex multi-step tasks for free to such a wide audience. It's another clear signal that AI is becoming just a normal part of our mobile experience.
Okay, now our next topic takes us from the digital to the physical world.
Oh, yeah.
With deep robotics and their four-legged robots.
Right.
The article compares them to these agile, intelligent robots you might see in a science fiction film.
Right.
Really emphasizing this, surprising flexibility and precision.
Yeah, it does paint a picture of robots that are much more dynamic and adaptable than what we typically think of.
Okay. So who is Deep Robotics?
Well, they're a company that was founded back in 2017 by a team from Zhejiang University, and their real focus is on combining AI and robotics. So it's not just about, building cool hardware. It's about making sure that hardware is intelligent.
So that intelligence, the adaptability, it's all coming from the AI
Yeah, exactly.
that they've incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
And their main product line is something called the Aishi.
That's right. And that translates to something like Invisible Shadow series. And it's their family of quadruped robots. The article specifically mentions the X20, the Lite 2, and the Mini.
Okay.
Each one is designed with different capabilities in mind. But the key advantage that they all share is this all-terrain mobility. So that means they can navigate all sorts of challenging environments, rough ground, debris, slippery surfaces, and they do it with a high degree of precision. So you can use these things for surveying and mapping in areas that are really difficult to reach.
I mean, that's essential
Oh, yeah.
for any real-world application.
For sure. And the article highlights the fact that they're being used for automated inspections, so they've achieved a big milestone. They're the first company in China to use robots for fully automated inspections of electrical substations.
So they're actually out in the field.
Yeah, they are. And what that does is it makes those inspections a lot more efficient. And it also allows for earlier detection of potential problems, which could prevent things like power outages or safety issues.
That's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Especially for essential infrastructure.
Right.
They've also got the X30, which is their flagship industrial model.
Right. So the X30 is really geared towards those industrial applications. Think power plants, factories, pipeline corridors. And it's all part of their push to create those more intelligent industrial solutions that can take on tasks that might be too dangerous or repetitive for humans.
So we're talking power grids, potentially dangerous factory jobs.
Exactly.
I mean, these robots have a huge range of potential uses.
They do. And the article highlights a couple of specific examples like architectural surveying, so they can autonomously move around a construction site, collect data, process it much faster, more accurately than traditional methods. And then emergency rescue, because of that ability to navigate those unstable, dangerous environments, they could be really valuable in search and rescue efforts, potentially saving lives.
And these robots they're not those slow, clunky robots that we used to think of.
No, not.
This is like next level.
Yeah, it's a significant evolution in robotics, for sure.
What's the big picture significance here?
I think it really showcases the power of combining AI with robotics.
Yeah.
We're creating machines that can function in the real world in all of its complexity. And that has the potential to change so many things: how we build and maintain our infrastructure, how we respond to emergencies.
And our final development is UiTARS,
Okay.
which the article describes as a graphical interface AI agent. And this sounds groundbreaking to me.
It is a pretty mind-blowing concept.
An AI that can operate computers and phones like a human,
Yeah.
doing things for you without you having to click around.
Right, exactly.
How does that even work?
Well, the idea is that it can see and understand the elements of a graphical user interface the same way a human would.
So instead of needing specific code for each application,
Right.
it's actually looking at the screen
Exactly.
and figuring it out.
The article talks about this end-to-end architecture that relies just on that visual input.
Okay, so doesn't need to be pre-programmed for every single application or website.
Right. It analyzes the visual information from the screen to understand the layout and how things work.
So how does it understand what it's seeing? How does it see and understand?
Well, it's designed to accurately identify and understand all those different elements of a user interface. The buttons, the drop-down menus, the text input fields, all those little components.
Okay.
And importantly, it can also locate those elements on the screen very precisely.
Like your mouse.
Yeah, like your mouse.
But it's doing it just by looking at it.
Right, exactly.
The second key thing that the article pointed out was its cross-platform versatility.
Yeah. So it's designed to be compatible with iOS, Android, Windows, macOS. It wants to be a truly universal tool.
Wow.
They even suggest that it could work across different types of applications, from social media to office productivity software, even just browsing the web. So it's not just limited to one specific type of thing.
So potentially one AI that manages all of your devices.
Yeah, it's a powerful idea.
The final thing the article highlights is this idea of advanced reasoning and learning.
Right. It's not just blindly clicking things in a preset sequence. It can actually break down more complex tasks into these smaller logical steps.
Okay.
And it can figure out how to execute those steps. And if it encounters an error along the way, it can actually reflect on what happened, adjust its strategy, and try again. And they've also designed it to continuously learn and adapt as it interacts with new interfaces and new situations.
So we can figure out how to accomplish something, even if it hasn't been specifically programmed for that.
Yeah, that's the goal. It's a big step towards more intelligent automation.
What kind of an impact could this have on how we interact with technology in general?
Well, potentially a huge one. Because if UiTARS is successful, it could fundamentally change how we interact with our devices. All those repetitive tasks that we do manually, like data entry, managing our online accounts, those could be automated. And because it learns and improves on its own, it could lead to some major gains in efficiency. And just think, it could free up our time and attention for other things.
I like that.
Yeah, the possibilities are really quite vast.
I mean, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the cutting edge of AI.
It has.
From DeepSeek R1, its efficiency, potentially shaking things up, to these AI agents like OpenAI Operator and Perplexity Assistant.
Right.
They can potentially manage all of our tasks for us. And then you have Deep Robotics and their robots, showing us this incredible evolution in robotics. And then UiTARS, this potential for AI that interacts seamlessly with our digital world. It's been a lot to cover, but I think the takeaway here is that, the pace of innovation is really accelerating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So given all of this, AI that can operate interfaces and perform physical tasks,
Right.
how do you see your own daily life, your interactions with technology evolving?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
What possibilities or maybe even challenges do you think are just around the corner?
I mean, it's something we all have to think about, because these changes are coming whether we're ready or not.
And we will continue to track them.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
You got it.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.